Welcome to the Your Limitless Leadership Podcast with Jenny and Brent Widman. Here, we believe leadership isn't just about titles. It's about how you show up in every aspect of life. Whether you're leading a business, building a legacy as an entrepreneur, guiding your family, or striving to lead yourself first, this podcast is for you. Join us as we dive into real conversations about growth, decision-making, and the courage it takes to lead with purpose. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and equipped to become the limitless leader you are meant to be. This is your Limitless Leadership Podcast. Let's lead without limits. Here we go again. Mrs. Jenny Widman and Mr. Brent Widman from Your Limitless Coach. And today we're going to dig in a little bit on leadership. And this is where I'm going to call it what it is. This is our wheelhouse. This is where we truly help people because it's about, and I don't know about you, but I'm a true believer that the majority of us are leaders, whether it's family, kids, spouses, parents, anything. And then you look into business, there's people that we influence, people that are around us. And that's what we're going to talk about today are some of the good things, some of the not so good things that we have seen, or people that have impacted both of our lives over the course of, let's call it the last 10 to 15 years at least. Because that's just kind of the way it is. You're going to see people that you learn from to do things really well. And then there's going to be people that you don't. So put it that way. So this is your Limitless Podcast with Mrs. Jenny Widman and Mr. Brent Widman. Anything to say on your side, ma'am, until we jump in?
Yeah, I think it's that, I guess the question that came to mind when you were talking just then is what is my definition of leadership and where, how does that influence my decisions every day too? And if I'm really thinking about just a very simple aspect of leadership, it's influencing someone, it's motivating someone towards that shared vision while you're also becoming the best version of yourself in the process, because you can't be a good leader unless you lead yourself first. And I guess as you were talking there, it just made me think, like, how does one influence others the best way that they can? And where do people fall short? Because we've both seen it in leadership in our own lives. So I guess the first question I would have for you, Brent, is like, what is your definition of leadership? And then what is the best example you've had as somebody in a leadership position?
Definition, that is, to me, that's an ever-changing thing. I don't want that to be a cop-out. The definition of leadership to me is doing the right thing. I struggled mightily in the past, and I'm talking big time. I would think about it almost on a daily basis if I was a good leader or not. And the reason that was, and I've told this story before, is I got told years ago that sometimes the best salespeople don't always make the best leaders. And I just thought I was that guy. So leadership to me is just simply answer the question. It's somebody who does what they say they're going to do. Somebody who has empathy, not sympathy, but empathy, but cares about people and tells them and shows them they care about them, not just because they're generating revenue or whatever it is, but somebody who actually cares about that person as a person. And then the other part is the person that's not scared to have hard conversations. And I don't mean like telling somebody what to do, but I mean asking them what they want to achieve and what they want to be held to. And maybe it's things they're going through. And it's not just fluff. It's actually really getting to know somebody and helping them achieve things they want to achieve, or at least be part of helping them achieve what they want to achieve, I guess, put it that way. So what was the other part of the question?
Best leader you've had?
Oh, that is a big one. I'm going to turn this around on you in a little bit. So You're going to have to think about that one too. Best leader I've had, there's been so many. I mean, I can pick and choose, like I talk about Do quite a bit. And the reason she sticks out right away to me is because she was the first person to ever really believe in me and tell me that she believed in me. Nobody else had ever laid it out there for me. It didn't matter if it was high school, college, jobs I had. There was the Dutanen wholeheartedly believed in me as a person when I didn't believe in myself. And everything after her, the foundation was already created, if you will. You know what I mean by that? Like the thing was already there. So the motor had already started. She started that motor in motion is what she did. So I would have to say her.
How could you tell she cared about you? Because I feel like it's really easy to say that, but examples of what people can do to know that, or to do that for their team.
She texted me on days that we didn't have conversations. She came to Minnesota living in Nashville and would just simply spend time with me. She would ask me about my day. She would ask me about how I was doing. She would ask me about people. She could see that when I was off a little bit, she would ask me about that. She would call me when I didn't need to be called. She would also call me out when I needed to be called out. Like I remember specifically, I've told you this. I rescheduled an appointment on her last minute. We had our call every Monday at 4 o'clock, and I rescheduled at like 3:30. And she's like, "You do not do that to me. That does not happen." And most people would just let you off with that. They would just be like, "Oh, I get it. I understand." Not her. And that showed me she cared about what that call was going to be about and how important that was to us and our relationship. But she would tell me flat out that she loved me and her and Shane loved me. And just those types of things that I feel like leaders shy away from it at times is not really expressing to you how they feel. They keep it just corporate level instead of person level. And she made it both. And that was, I'd never had that before. I didn't know that was available to somebody. I didn't know that was a thing. And she showed me that you can do that. Now, there's been a lot of leaders after that that have done the same thing, which has been fantastic. But that is how all of those things plus more. I just can't think of them in this moment. But yeah,
Hmm. No, it's good. I like that.
back on you. What's your
Yeah,
definition of leadership?
I mean, what I said, it's being able to influence somebody to motivate them to their fullest potential in a shared vision that you're both going towards, but then also looking at that leader and making sure that I respect them. I respect their ethics, their decision making, their standards, their how they're spending their time, their how they're living their life,
Hmm.
and I go back to all my favorite, aka best leaders in a work environment. And every single one that I can think of, yeah, they believed in me, but the other attribute, the other characteristic that's like glaring at me right now is they expected a lot out of me. Like they knew I was capable of it, but they held me to that standard. And if I was not top, five or number one, it was like, what is wrong with you? And uh not in a bad way, in a way that they knew they could speak to me like that. They knew that, as much as they believed in me, and I knew they believed in me, like the time that they took and what they said and how they shared, you know, um, the guy that's coming to my mind is Mark Rao. And he when I did the door-to-door sales situation, he has two daughters that were in high school at the time, and he had his daughters come shadow me on the book field, and he chose me out of anybody on the book field. And so like those are little things that happen along the way, the phone calls, the text messages, the calling out, the how can I help you, the late night text, the early morning, all those things. Yeah, sure. But when you bring your own personal family and the people that mean the most to you in front of you, uh, that speaks for itself. And so I knew when Mark was calling me out, or when he expected a lot out of me, or I wasn't recruiting the numbers that he knew I was capable of. It came from a place of love. But he has, all of the statistics from his days that he knew exactly what I was going through. He knew the pain points. He knew what it took on the weekends to work extra hard because he did it himself years ago. And so that relatability really helps when people can relate to what you're doing. I'd say another aspect that I love about Mark is he came and he shadowed me. He worked with me. He came on the book field with me, and you know, and did a 2-hour goal period, because he's like, I need to be more relevant. I need to understand what types of objections are happening at the door now. I need to see this play out because, I did this 10 years ago. I did this 20 years ago. I didn't do it today. So let me go see it for myself and not just guess. Like a true great leader to me gets into the details and um comes from a place of empathy, but comes from truly understanding what their people are going through and why they're going through it, and so that they can help them get out of it. So those are some things that I would say about a great leader, and Mark is one of my favorites to this day.
That was a phenomenal answer. Like, just, it's amazing how when you look at things in a different way or in a different light, I didn't even think about all of the things you just talked about. Like, to me, I'm over here being this delicate, just love me for who I am, I'll get there type of thing. And you're like, call me out, tell me what to do and how to do it, have your expectations. Like, and I love that, because I wholeheartedly feel like you need both sides. And if you don't have it, I mean, we talk about this, leaders that we know that just are more the fluff, that just will talk about how much they care about you, but they won't like be in it with you. They won't tell you to suck it up and go get it when you need it at times. Where Mark, I don't know him that well, but I know him enough that he wouldn't shy away from that. But he'll also put his arm around you and tell you he cares about you at the same time. So
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That was really good. I got to go back to two things you said. You said lead yourself first. What do you mean by that?
I know anybody that's listening to this and you're thinking of your favorite leader, or maybe it's not even your favorite leader, it was your best leader for you for results. There is a huge aspect of that where you're looking at their personal choices. You're looking at what type of lifestyle they're living, when they're waking up, how they treat their spouse, how much time they spend with their kids. What are the things that are meaningful to them? How much, like, what is their wheel of life? What are their pillars, and how do they do it on a daily basis that is admirable? And so every leader needs to internally ask themselves, is their lifestyle duplicatable? Is their lifestyle something that their people want more of?
Hmm.
I was coaching somebody, I won't mention his name, the other day, and he was mentioning a leader above him, and he said to me, Jenny, I do not want his life. I do not want to be him. He's never with his family. He's divorced. He has kids. He never sees them. He travels all the time. I just don't even think he is happy, but he makes a ton of money. And when he was venting to me about the situation, and we were talking about, that's his trajectory is to get to that position, right? That's where he wants to go. And I was like, but you don't have to duplicate him. You can make a brand new life and situation for the entire multi-billion-dollar company. Like that, this is a good thing. And he didn't see it that way. He just didn't. My whole point here is, when you want to be a true leader of a company and you're not leading your family and you're not leading yourself, you're not going to lead a multi-million dollar company, billion-dollar company, in my opinion. You shouldn't.
The other thing you touched on is finishing first and what have you, and being pushed to that and knowing that's who you are and that's not your potential, but that's exactly who you are. There was a wise woman once, I can't remember her name, but she said, and you might be able to finish this sentence for me. If you're not first, you're what?
You're shit because number two is going shit.
That wise woman is her mom, by the way, just so you know.
How I was raised my whole life. If you're not first, you're going shit. So,
But that's part of it. Like that was so ingrained in you, so
yeah.
ingrained in you. And the flip side of that, that just simply was not ingrained in me at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the other part of leadership is you have two paths you can take. And on both sides, you could have taken the path of shutting down and don't talk to me like that. And I don't want to be that person. Or you could take the path of watch, I can do that. Watch me. And then I think the same for me when you look at leadership. I could take the path of, well, it's okay. You don't have to be that good. I'll just be okay the rest of my life. I'll show up and go home and just get by. Or you can take the other path and say, I don't want to just get by. It's crazy when you think about it. Like when you look at leaders and as the people that they are leading, you have two paths you can take. You really do. And they're laying it out for you, is what it comes down to. So, yeah, that was just the way you
So
said that.
because obviously the number one aspect that came from leaders pushing me and expectations on me, you didn't really have that. Dude didn't really do that for you in a sense. But you are motivated for number one. So how would you attribute leadership or the vision or, in 2021 when you hit number one in a multi-million dollar company, like where did the leadership or lack of leadership come into play?
I'm going to correct you a little bit on that, just so you know. Okay.
Okay.
I am not driven to be number one, ever. I don't care. I am driven to do the things that I know I can accomplish and push through when it gets hard. If number one comes with that, so be it. If number two comes with that, so be it. And I think that's hard for people to wrap their mind around because so many people strive for this number that is the top. I strive just to get up every day and get after it, I guess. Put it that way. I don't know if that helps, but
Well, no, because what happened in Texas?
that's a story I tell that was fuel for me. It wasn't about being number one, it was about proving the person wrong, is what it was.
I guess I looked at her as she was a leader in the company. And I feel like there are things leaders can do in companies that negatively, in this aspect, it was positively impact you with a very negative comment. But a leader did do that.
Again, it's you can take one of two paths. When she said that, I could have gone into my hole and thought, you're right. I have never finished number one. Probably won't happen. Or I can say, watch me. Now, I didn't know if I was going to finish number one. I didn't know. I knew that I was going to work my butt off from then on out, and the chips will lie where they lie. But I don't think there was anything until probably the last day when you and I were talking, maybe the second to last day or the last day, when I knew that there was another person that had sold X amount that month, that I'm like, I worked this hard. And that's where my mind went. I worked this hard and I'm this close and I might fall short.
Mm,
That would have been kind of hard for me. Put it that way. That
yeah.
was probably the only time. But everything else, I can't. Here's why, Jen, is I don't feel like I can control being number one, but I can control how many phone calls I make. I can control how much time and effort and energy and everything I put into something. I can control that. So I worry more about what I can control. And that has been ingrained in me from leaders. Like, let's call it being in the military.
Mm,
I could control my attitude. I could control if I got up at 3:30 in the morning and smiled and laughed and looked at the positive side. I could control that. I couldn't control the other stuff, you know? So it's things like that, I think, over time. I'll go back to the question. I think it was something about what's a leader taught me or helped me with. Is that kind of what you asked?
mhm.
Again, I think there's numerous ones. So if I go back to, I mean, even ridiculousness like high school football, I remember a guy named Mike Newman who was a coach. It's little things that people say to you along the way. Like I could pick something out from every single leader, a phrase or something that was a positive thing that made me believe in myself. And to me, that's what leadership is. So you look at Mike, he told me I had a really good arm and I thought really well. I was like, okay, I didn't know that. Right. You don't think about those things when you're a kid. At basic training, I became a platoon guide, which means out of like the 100 dudes, you're leading them just because they saw my attitude was a really good attitude. So it made me believe in myself a little bit more. You look at coming like at every job I've had, Lucas believed in me at Lifetime Fitness. So does this guy named Jason Mitzo. They just believed in that I would work really hard. So they gave me more stuff so I would work really hard. You know what I mean? Things like that is all it was. There's no secret to it at all. But I go back to the what the guy told me about what crushed me was when he told me you're just not a good leader. And honestly, I wasn't. I wasn't because I hadn't developed myself.
Mm,
There's a reason we coach leaders. There's a like we talk about the avatar, what your brand is, and what have you. There's a reason why I want to coach leaders because I know somewhere in them they constantly want to get better. Most of them, anyway. It feels like because you wouldn't be in that position if you didn't. So I don't
yeah.
know if that answers your question, but yeah.
Yeah, and it made me think of a time of the exact opposite of that. You're talking about focusing on the good. And anytime a leader was like noticing your attitude or noticing a controllable, he, you know, said that to you and recognized that, and it gave you the confidence. I go back to our son at
Mm.
basketball, and
Yeah.
he's in high school basketball, was in high school basketball. He was on the like 19th and ninth grade, 10th grade team.
That's good.
And the leader, his coach, one of the things that he did that just drove me absolutely insane is he would have the five players out on the court, and anytime one of the players missed a shot or did a bad pass or threw it out of bounds or didn't hustle, the next play the leader would take that kid out and put someone else in. And it just drove me absolutely insane because you are literally focusing on the negative and telling these kids that it's horrible to make any mistakes at all.
Lot of-
And then the kids played scared, and the kids played horrible because they were always timid with the ball because they were scared to make a mistake, and their team suffered from it, And so there's definitely a balance, not even a balance, but like when a leader can truly focus on what the players, the team, the kids, whatever, are doing well, and you'll get so much better results from it because they'll be more confident. And your story just remind me of a horrible leadership, and I wanted to be that mom that just went up there and screamed and got mad, but I didn't. I was good. I just let him have lessons from it. It hurts when you see bad leaders. It really does.
well, what does that reinforce? It reinforced don't make a mistake. It reinforced don't try to do anything that isn't exactly the way we tell you to do it. It
Mhm.
reinforced you have to do it this way. And I think that's part of it is if you look around, there's a lot of people out there that won't speak up. They won't raise their hand. They won't say things because
Too scared.
yeah, they're so accustomed to being, nope, can't do that. Doesn't work that way. Instead of, what about this? And I do think when we talk about leadership, what you just said is really, really good leaders are open to conversation. They're open to asking. They're open to hearing things out. They're just open. I don't know how to describe that. They are simply open to different ways or different ideas, or it doesn't have to be better, but just a way, I guess, put it that way. So, yeah. Huh. That kind of just hit me in the face. Let me ask you this. What's a decision you've made as a leader that maybe you're most proud of and why?
It's just so fresh out of what we've experienced and been through. But, you know, there came a point at our old company where I was not in alignment with where the direction was going. And me and you having a $2.5 million team, as much as it hurt me, I couldn't live like that anymore. And the decision of us leaving the company and starting our own business is my proudest leadership moment right now because we can truly build something from scratch of exactly what we want, how we want it, the types of people we want, and our vision of truly impacting leaders and giving them their full potential that they're capable of, and eliminating that weak language and helping them with tools and just a therapist at times. um Helping with a sounding board. And as much as it pained me to leave a high leadership position and a team of 20 people, we chose ourselves and we chose our family. And I I truly know that that was the right decision.
I love that. I wouldn't even thought of that, but that goes back to hard conversations and leadership's hard sometimes. It just is. And when people say leadership isn't for everyone, I would argue that. Now, I don't mean everybody's leading teams and companies and all that kind of thing. And the reason I would argue that is because all of us, for the most part, have influence over or around people that we surround ourselves with. And you can do the right thing or you can do not the right thing. And that's leadership. It really is. When you think of it that way, I think it makes you a better person all around. I don't know how else to describe that. It just does. I mean, even at home, if your kids see you hold hands or go for a walk or smile and laugh and talk and make dinner together or do dishes or clothes, or it's all of those things that they're going to grow up and do the same things. But if you don't do it, or if you expect somebody else to do it, they're going to grow up and do that unless they make a different choice. So I don't know. That's kind of how I look at it, I guess.
And resentment is formed. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest ways to
Huh?
gain resentment from somebody. And whether that is a spouse or children or your team or the office or your neighbors or whatever the case is. I mean, that's one of the biggest ways to gain resentment from anybody. This was an interesting question I wanted to ask you, but what is a leadership like lesson that hit you hard? That one lesson that you can clearly think about and be like, whew, I was not performing to be the leader that I know I can be. And this is how I learned this lesson.
I go to believe in others. And the reason I say that is you know this story, but so writing a book, I had talked to a leader, two different leaders. I had talked to a leader and I told him I was writing a book. And he flat out told me, don't do it. It is too hard. And for this leader, I didn't really think anything of it. It was just kind of is what it was. It's his nature. If it's not him, it's not about him. But then I talked to a high level leader, a C-suite level leader, and I had a one-on-one meeting actually about next steps, how to write a book, can I get involved, all these different things. And this was a dude that I trusted. This was a dude that was a friend. This was a dude that I looked up to. And he told me, don't write a book. It takes too much time. And I left that meeting defeated. My leader just told me something that I should not do, that I've always wanted to do. And maybe that's different than believing in me. But I walked down those stairs and I talked to randomly, one of my friends was at the bottom of the stairs. And walked up, jolly, how are you? How are things? And I was kind of like, eh. And he knew that wasn't my nature, just to be in between. And he asked me what was wrong. And I told him what just happened. And he said, do you want to write a book? And I said, yeah. And he says, F him then. And that's where the transition of somebody believing in you and that somebody that doesn't have a title or your direct leader or whatever. I think there's times that we've all heard the adage of people at times don't believe in you or don't want you to do something because they're out for themselves. And I truly think that's what happened. And when somebody else that wasn't out for themselves and had no direct correlation to what I wanted to do, but he saw how important it was, he said, you got this. And that's why I say believing in somebody, but not also stealing something from them, if you will. Be that person.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't be that person, keep it to yourself. I mean, that's how I feel. How about
But
you?
what that also tells me so strongly is great leaders get to know what their people's own vision is. Like, sure, writing a book can take time. Sure, it can be difficult. There's ways to make it less difficult. There's great ghostwriters out there. There's great things that we can invest in, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, why are you so quick to answer some things? And there are some things we shouldn't be. Great leaders make decisions. Great leaders are proactive, and they make, there's no better way to put it, they make decisions and they follow through. There are some things that great leaders need to also assess and find out and be curious of, to make the right decisions for their people. So,
Help somebody find a way. Help them
mhm,
find a way. Like when you just said, know their vision and what they want to achieve, like that's leadership, man.
mhm,
That's that's the difference between I have a title and I'm part of you.
mhm,
You can have a title, good for you.
mhm,
But if you're not living into what that actually means, you're not really a leader. You
mhm.
are just in that title. You're in that seat, taking it
Right.
up for somebody else. I don't know. Strong language, but obviously that drives me a little batty. It just does because I mean, there's so many things that people can accomplish that when somebody just helps them with it, really good things happen. So,
Mhm.
on that note, have you ever felt like you failed as a leader?
Yeah. Uh,
Also, when?
hopefully, hopefully, I feel humble. There are many times that as you're growing as a leader, the more mistakes that you're making, I also feel like the better you're becoming. Uh, the one thing that I make sure of after I've made that mistake is owning the mistake. And what I mean by that is, anytime I have failed, maybe it's I'm in a mentally weak spot myself. Maybe I feel overwhelmed and I
Hmm.
just want to retreat. Maybe I just feel like I can't give 100% this week. Like I not feeling well, or um I'm not mentally present, or whatever the case is. The number one thing that I have put in my tool belt, of leadership, is, once I'm at the place to give that 100% again that I know I'm capable of, I own what percentage I was at, and I confront it. I remember one of these conversations I had with a lady on my team last year, and I said to her, I was like, I just want you to know, I apologize. I've not been that person for you that I know you've needed this past month, and this is what I was going through, and I'm just asking for grace and for you to forgive me, because I know I was not that person for you that I needed to be.
Hmm.
And whenever you make mistakes, whenever you fail as a leader, whenever you make that decision that was the wrong decision, but you made it because you thought it was right, the number one thing that you can do is get in front of your people that you made it, and look them in the eye and say the words, I'm sorry, and move forward. And I do not believe leaders own up to that enough. And so there's not like one specific time that I feel like I failed. I feel like I failed many times, but I always bounce back from it, and I've gotten way better at owning up to them too.
We're not supposed to have it all figured out. We're not
Mm-mm.
supposed to know everything. I think there's a misconception there when it comes to leadership, that you're indoctrinated with this title or this thing, that all of a sudden you feel like you're not supposed to be vulnerable and transparent and be that person to others. that all of a sudden you're a little less touchable. And you don't that's not no. No. There's no difference between you and them except maybe you do have a title and now you spend more time with them and help them and guide them and develop them and pour into them. And it's not, we've heard so many times, it's not an either or, it's an and when you create the and, really good things happen. But if you make it an either or, that's what you're going to get back from it too at the same
Mhm.
time. So
Yeah. And I look at responsibilities of leaders, and I feel like I need to say this because it's a topic that I absolutely love, and I truly believe that a great leader is a great recruiter. I truly believe when you are leading from a vision and from leading yourself and people wanting to follow you and be duplicatable, like it shows. And when you can attract those A+ people, the people that are better than you in some area, maybe it's into the details more, maybe it's that personality and they're just an entertainer and they like to be in front of people and they're extroverted, maybe it's just they're um someone that's soft spoken and goes with the flow. Like you need all those different types of personalities in your organization. You need people that are better than you in other aspects so that they can take some of your burden from you. And when you're a leader of a company and you're not always, and I mean always, looking out for people that you could recruit onto your team, you're missing the mark. And so I just feel like with this topic, I had to say that because a great leader truly attracts A+ people.
can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because many times, and I'm speaking from personal experience, when I used to hear that quote, a great leader is a great recruiter, I thought to myself, what about people that are in corporate jobs or maybe they have the title, they're an HR VP or something of that nature? Okay. What about the people that are in salaried roles or they don't make money off? They're not in sales. They're not, you see what I mean? Like, what about those types of people? Should they be recruiting people as well? How does that work? What do you mean?
Everybody should. I think the barista at Starbucks should. Like I truly, I guess it goes into act as if as well. If you are this salaried position and you are content and you're only you're making the $80,000 a year, whatever, and you're happy, be happy. That's fine. If you truly want a leadership role in the company, there's no better thing that, in my opinion, that you can do is to find the weak spots of the company and be attracting stars to fill those weak spots. And even if I was a barista at Starbucks, there's no better way living my life than doing life with people that I like and that I want to work with. And, be at Starbucks 8 hours a shift with my best friend. Like, of course, I want to do that. So, whether you are a CEO of a company or you're an hourly position at Publix, I would say that you truly can attract great people just because of who you are. And when you're attracting those people and you're making it fun and people want to be around you, people are going to see that and you will get promoted. There's no doubt in my mind. So it goes along with any in sales and leadership and in a salary position. It's doing life with people you love. And why wouldn't you want to do that? I do not understand people that don't recruit. I don't.
You're going to laugh at me for this, but this is why I asked that question. It hasn't been that long ago, probably 2 years ago. I was coaching a MP, managing partner, general agent from Mass Mutual, and he said he came across a a VP of ops, really is what it was. Call it what it is. That could run his whole organization, and he met her just randomly at an event, And he hired her a month later because he knew the ramifications of what she could do for the whole organization.
Mm.
He recruited her. She didn't apply. It wasn't anything like that. He just recruited her. And it changed his whole organization. And that's why I asked that question.
Awesome.
It really dawned on me that it's not just about salespeople. It's not just about what have you. It's about anywhere you go and the everywhere you go approach. The more people you meet and the more people that you see are top level that can be part of your organization. He said, I just paid her. I knew she would, and I paid her. That's why. So it's pretty cool to hear that conversation.
Well, and there's two ways. I mean, you can recruit someone or you can interview someone, and there is a completely different approach with both of those. And maybe I'm so biased because I was the everywhere you go approach. I found out about an opportunity that changed my life
Yeah.
when I was at like 2 margaritas in at a Mexican restaurant, and some girl just approached my dinner table and told me I'd be amazing at sales. So maybe I am biased because that little effort completely changed the whole rest of my life. And I truly believe people need to, and if they're not happy in their role, they need to go find a new role that they want to recruit to. So I think it's just all about, we only have one life, and why are we not doing it with people we love?
But
Or
that
want to.
example, what you just said, is an exact example of being a strong leader and something that somebody taught you without you even knowing that they were teaching you in that moment, that she taught you the everywhere you go approach, which then is now part of who you are and what you do. That's leadership, man. Like when Megan did that, it changed your whole world, and you still do it to this day, 15, 20 years later. That's leadership. She impacted you in a way that she didn't know in the moment, but she taught you something that'll never go away, ever. That's part of what I feel
25
like.
years ago. Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's crazy when you think about it. Yeah. Huh. Love it. Love it.
Well, any last words? I guess the last question I can ask is, what is the number one piece of advice you would give to someone stepping into their first leadership role?
Speaking from experience, develop yourself and continuously develop yourself. Make it a point to read as many leadership and business books as you possibly can. And I'm talking, you walk the dog, you listen to a book, you mow the lawn, you rake the leaves, you go to the grocery store, you drive to an appointment. Like, there are so many times that you can do these things. And that's the one thing I would tell you is, if you aren't reading and you aren't listening to books and you aren't podcasts and you aren't, like this podcast, to me, what we just talked about, it will smack you in the face in a good way. Like, it will open your eyes to a lot of the things that maybe you are or aren't doing. And that's the one piece of advice. How about you?
I would ask yourself the question, would I want to be led by me?
Ooh, that's
And
good.
I would start changing the areas that you know you have
Track
to.
it. Yeah, track it. Love it. Thank you so much for being on here. Your Limitless Podcast. This is Brent and Jenny Widman. Widman? Can't even say my last name.
Winning
Good job.
men?
My last name. It's your last. Thank you for being on here. And we are always here. Follow us. Look us up. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We're everywhere. YourLimitlessCoach.com. And then if you want to talk about when, not if, she talked about weak language. That was weak. When you want to talk about coaching, don't be shy. Reach out to us and let's set up a conversation and see if it's a fit. Because if it is, it is. If it's not, that's okay too. But we can still help you out on that aspect. So go get it. Thanks for joining us on the Your Limitless Leadership Podcast with Jenny and Brent Widman. We hope today's conversation inspired you to think differently about leadership, not just in your career, but in every part of your life. Remember, leadership starts with leading yourself first. It's about taking action. making bold decisions, and showing up with purpose. Now, it's time to take what you've heard today and put it into practice. Whether it's in your business, your community, your family, or your own personal growth, start leading without limits. You have the power to become the leader you're meant to be. Until next time, keep pushing your boundaries and leading with purpose.